Hitler's motivations, to me, is such an interesting topic of World War II. If you look at it at face value, Hitler just is a crazy man. He's a crazed man who seeks revenge for World War One. Now, by all means, Hitler is one of the worst, political figures in history. One of the worst leaders in history. But not for the reason of he didn't care for his people, but for the atrocities he committed. But it makes you think, what were his motivations? And this is my greater understanding of it. Within Germany, after World War I, you see a great decline in the German economy. Hyperinflation occurs where the German people are living some of the worst lives after World War I. And following the Wall Street crash in 1929, Germany could no longer rely on the US for loans. And without this reliance on loans, you see collapse. You see many a struggle of the people of Germany. And that is where crazed political figures like Hitler rise. When the German dollar loses all value and it is cheaper to burn the German dollar than it is to buy firewood to keep you warm during winters, that is when you look to extremists. That is when you look to people who promise you the world. Hitler's campaign throughout the 1920s and 30s was to restore Germany to its glory and to exact revenge for the Treaty of Versailles. Now, the treaty had really done a number on the Germans. They had to give up the Rhineland. They had to pay enormous debts. And it just really goes to show why Hitler did what he did, why the German people turned to Hitler. Because at this point, Germany has been vilified, they've been disgraced. They are no longer viewed as a world power. They are really just left out of Europe, really. And this is where Hitler steps in. When the German dollar is worth nothing. When Germans are starving and freezing. And Germany itself is a laughingstock of Europe. They need an extremist. They need a guy who can pull them out from the dirt. And there is no one like that in Germany other than Hitler. You have to look at the country itself and see that great leadership drives the country. Like Napoleon. This is an example I will use throughout my channel because I see Napoleon as this amazing figure for the people of a nation that hasn't always succeeded. Obviously, Hitler is nowhere near the level of militaristic and understanding that Napoleon is. But that's okay. That's okay because Hitler is able to do so much in a relatively short amount of time and achieve greatness, unlike many people in the German political sphere that have just been unable to achieve anything. And that's really why Germany needed a man like Hitler. His motivations is just so interesting because He's a World War One hero. He fought in World War One. He's a war veteran. So he understands the glory of Germany, and that pushes him. That really makes him want to achieve greatness as a nation. He sees the potential glory, he sees the suffrage, and he understands that this means that he can't really lack here. He needs to really push forward. And that is why Hitler is able to gain this power, be this figure. And it's so interesting, because as a collection of people, you need to understand why you are in this suffrage and who can bring you out. And that is Hitler. Hitler being a voice for the German people is amazing. But then you look past that, which every single German could not. Because it is so hard in a moment of suffrage to look past a man who's bringing you glory. And you look at his atrocities, and you look at the amount of death that he causes, and the people he does in fact vilify, and the fact that he starts a war. It just goes to show in how history doesn't repeat itself, it rhymes. How a person can promise you everything in the political sphere, and they can fulfill some parts of that. But if you don't look past the surface value, they will commit atrocities in the background. Thank you guys for listening to my little rant. This is Eddiez-Historyz-Politicz. Please subscribe, like, and watch my other content. Thank you.